Since May, more than 1,300 unmarked graves have been discovered at the sites of former residential schools across Canada. The Liberal government has promised more than $300 million in funding to search for more burial sites. Cora Voyageur is a residential school survivor and member of the Athbasca Chipewyan First Nation. Cora says the effects of this school system are still being felt by survivors and their families. She joins us this morning on Treaty 7 territory. Good morning to you, Cora.
Good morning.
So you are a survivor of the Holy Angels Residential School in Fort Chipewyan, Alberta, along with your two sisters. When the news came out that 215 unmarked graves were found at that former residential school in Kamloops, how did that news affect you and your family?
Well, it wasn't anything that was new for us. We had known always that there were people who had gone to residential school and that didn't make it back. So it was heartbreaking, of course, because, people have been asking questions about what happened to their family members, for decades. And it was a very sad event. But in some regards, it brought the issue out to mainstream society. And for that, it was a good thing.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that, because when you reflect on this past year of 2021, we've got the discovery, of course, of the unmarked graves, the first National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. We have the Liberal government allocating $40 billion for Indigenous child welfare compensation. So when we talk about, no surprise to you and your family, does it frustrate you that it took so long for everyone to actually register and hear this?
Well, it was frustrating because we know that the Truth and Reconciliation Commission report came out with its calls to action a number of years ago. And actually, there was an entire volume that dealt with unmarked burials and missing children. And actually, nothing was done about that. And in fact, there were people that were denying and saying that this was just some type of a money grab for Indigenous people, and so in that regard, it was quite hurtful to have that segment of the population come out and say that basically this was not true.
As a university, go ahead. Sorry.
So this was proof. This was the evidence that that many people needed to believe that what was being said all along was actually true.
And Cora, as a university professor, you teach the history of residential schools to your students, many who grew up not knowing the history. What has been the reaction?
Well, in many cases, it's disbelief. It's a disbelief that this type of activity could be going on in a country that many people, come here from other parts of the world as a type of a safe haven. And to know that there is this type of dark history in Canada and the treatment of Indigenous people has been so abhorrent is hard for many people to understand. I teach primarily young people, primarily non-Indigenous people, and this is the first time that they've heard of it. There wasn't much taught about it in schools in the curriculum. I know that in Alberta there was a type of controversy here because the Alberta government was deciding whether it should actually be taught to school children. But my students are very hurt by this. I have students crying in my classroom over this news.
The path forward, it's not an easy one. You've said you cannot change the past, but you can learn from it. You've experienced racism as an Indigenous woman along with your husband. So, Cora, what needs to happen to make concrete change in this country and really build a better relationship with Indigenous peoples?
Well, I think there needs to be, as Senator Murray Sinclair has said, we have to start dealing with an uncomfortable past. And I think it all comes down to respect for Indigenous people and our contributions to Canadian society that we've made in the past and that we continue to make in Canada. And again, the issue of respect, and know that we are all human beings and that we all deserve dignity and to be treated and have our human rights respected.
That's a good note to end on, Cora. Thank you. We appreciate your voice on this morning.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.